listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, of course, the king of all those massive and cowboy-cut tomahawk ribeyes, best I've ever had. Hell, wait till you try those half-pound Wagyu burgers, USDA Prime, best I've ever had. Again, likely be the best you ever had as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com, or give them a call to find out what's for dinner. 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935, 702-799-9935 for UppercutChops.com. Yes! All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Everybody also on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and WOW Cable affiliates across America. Thanks for joining us, and Hotel TV in over 500,000 rooms. And we want to extend out a special birthday cheer to our very dear friend, and that would be Melissa from Bay City, Michigan. Happy birthday, young lady. Happy birthday. Yes! I don't really sing happy birthday, so sorry. We used to have Elvis sing for us, but you know what? We just can't really do that anymore. Anyway, all right, happy birthday to Melissa. And also, by the way, a big welcome in to everybody that watches this show on Facebook's Chicago Food Favorites. It's a fun little group of people that post great food images and talk about the foods that they love, whether you're from Chicago, you love Chicago food, or you happen to pass through and you saw something you liked and you said, you know what, maybe I want to duplicate that. Anyway, Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Join that page. It's a lot of fun, and nobody gets paid for anything. It's just a little bit of goofiness and some fun and thinking about great foods. All right, all of that said, going to jump into college hoops real quick. And for our friends over in Michigan, more specifically, our birthday girl, who is a big fan of the University of Michigan. Well, I got bad news for you, because in college hoops, it was the number 2 ranked Purdue Boilermakers all over Michigan, 99-67. And by the way, that was played at Chrysler over in Ann Arbor, a rather embarrassing loss for Big Blue. I guess they didn't even show up. I don't know, are they Big Blue or is Kentucky Big Blue? Not really sure at this point. But anyway, those boys over there that wear those funny hats on the football field, they won the national title. But in basketball, boy, they've got a lot of work to do, if you know what I mean. All right. Also at number 1, it was UConn just edging out Villanova, 66-65. The number 3 ranked North Carolina Tar Heels with a win, 85-64 over Wake. They moved to 16-3, while Purdue is 18-2. Likely they'll be the number 1 team again next poll, and that would be on January 29th. And it was UConn, of course, with that win, with a 1-point win on the road. And that might drop them down into the second place spot. Purdue's only a handful of votes behind them. Now, number 4 moved up 1 week ago. They moved up from 5 to 4. That was Houston with a nice win at Provo against Brigham Young. Their next game is Kansas State. And, oh, by the way, talking about UConn, their next game is coming up on Sunday against Xavier. Purdue's next game is at Rutgers, also on Sunday, 10 a.m. Pacific time and 1 p.m. Eastern. North Carolina with their game at Florida State over in Tallahassee on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Running down the top 25 here. We got to do this because we can, and we're also in a lot of these markets here too, so we want to make sure that we shout out their local teams. Rocky Top, they've got themselves a real nice win at Alabama, 91-71. Their next game is at Vanderbilt over in Nashville on Saturday at 6 p.m. That's the night game. Kentucky, I guess that would be Big Blue. They took it on the chin at South Carolina, losing by 17 on the road, that number 6 ranked team. So they jumped up 2 slots from last week. Now they're going to probably drop down at least 2 to 3 slots. Their next game is at Fayetteville in Arkansas on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Kansas, who dropped 4 slots a week ago, will probably jump up a couple of slots. They had a real nice win at Cincinnati, 74-69. Their next game is over in Ames, Iowa on Saturday against Iowa State and the Cyclones. That is a Big 12 matchup. Boy, that's all going to change real soon here. Auburn jumped up 5 slots up to number 8. Of course, WAUD country over there in Auburn, Alabama. Nice round of applause for them. Everybody listening in on that wonderful station that's home of the Atlanta Braves. Auburn with a real nice win at Oxford against Ole Miss, 82-59. Their next game is going to be, well, as a matter of fact, it's going to be today, and that is at 7:30 p.m. against Alabama. Auburn travels over to Tuscaloosa for that one. Should be an easy victory for Auburn. That's War Eagle. Number 9, Arizona, with a nice win on the road at UCLA, 77-61. Their next game is over in Corvallis, Oregon, against Oregon State, and that's going to be, well, that's going to be tomorrow at 8 p.m. Pacific time, or 11 p.m. for all you night owls on the East Coast. Illinois, number 10, 14-4. They jump up 4 slots this week, and they get themselves a real nice win over at Rutgers. They win by 23 on the road. Their next game is today at 8 p.m. Central Time. Number 11, Oklahoma, looks like the paperclip. So if you ever take a look at Oklahoma's logo, it absolutely, to me, looks like a paperclip. They get a very, very tough draw, and they lose at Texas by 15. They drop to 15-4, and they are ranked number 11. My guess is they're going to probably drop to about number 13. Their next game is over in Lubbock against the Red Raiders, and that's going to be Saturday at 1 p.m. Central Time. Duke, they dropped 5 slots, but they turned right around and they punished Louisville at Louisville, 83-69. So Duke moves to 14-4. Their next game is over at Clemson on Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Number 13, Wisconsin. Boy, this is a very, very good squad. The problem is you never know what you're going to get with Wisconsin. And they are ranked 13 right now. They dropped 2 slots from 11 to 13. They're 15-4. They get a 2-point victory up in Minneapolis against Minnesota. Their next game is Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time over in East Lansing, Michigan against the Fighting Spartans, but you can call them the Fighting whatever you want, the boys in green. Sometimes they wear green and black. I'm not really sure which one's going to show up there, but Michigan State, boy, they are a conundrum. You never know what the hell you're going to get over there, but they're very well coached. Marquette, number 14, jumped up 3 slots, and they get themselves a real tight win, 73-72 over in New York against St. John's. Their next game is against the doormat of the Big East, and that would be DePaul, and that's going to be today at 8 p.m. Central Time. Number 15, Baylor, with a very tough loss at Texas, 73-75 over at UT Austin. They dropped down 6 slots, 14-4, and they're going to keep tumbling. They've got another game coming up over in Dallas against Texas Christian, the Horny Toads, but you can call them the Horned Frogs. Number 16, Dayton, the Dayton Flyers, 16-2. They jumped up 5 slots in the last poll. They're going to jump up again. They got themselves a real nice win over Louisiana State. And 66-54 was the final count. Now they're going to go over to Richmond and play the Spiders on Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Creighton, the Creighton Blue Jays. But this is a very good squad. But again, you never know which Creighton team's going to show up. These guys are 15-5. They move up 1 slot. They beat Xavier over in Cincinnati. And their next game is Saturday against Doormat of the Big East. That would be DePaul out of Chicago. And they are not a very good squad. Best team in Chicago right now, I would argue it would be Northwestern, followed closely by Loyola of Chicago. Number 18, Utah State drops 2 slots to number 18, and they are 17-2. And they had a very, very big win at Fresno State. The Bulldogs took it on the chin there. Next game is at Boise State. That Boise State team is pretty damn good. And guess what? They're 13-5 and 4-1 in the conference. Boise State is no joke. 19, Memphis State. They dropped 9 slots, and they lost to Tulane. 81-79 over at Tulane. They dropped to 15-4. Next game at University of Alabama, Birmingham. And that's going to be on Sunday at 4 p.m. Central Time. Texas Tech, number 20, rounding out the top 25 here. Texas Tech jumped up 5 slots, moved to 15-3. 78 for Brigham Young. Texas Tech, 85, a 7-point win over at Provo. Their next game is at Oklahoma, number 11th ranked Oklahoma, and that's going to be Saturday at 1 p.m. Central. Brigham Young, 21, dropped down 1 slot. They took it on the chin by Houston, a count of 75-68, 7-point win for Houston. Their next game, of course, Brigham Young is versus Texas. Seems like everyone's playing Texas. 22, Florida Atlantic, very good squad, very underrated squad at 15-4, and they get themselves on a big shootout. Florida Atlantic 112 to University of Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners at 103. It's a 9-point victory on the road. Their next game is Rice today at 7 p.m. And rounding out the last few is Iowa State, number 23, Colorado State, a very good Colorado State team at 24, New Mexico at 25. And all 3 of those teams are likely going to stay exactly where they're at. That's going to do it for college basketball. We've got some NBA. Now, we normally don't talk NBA, but we're going to do it this next segment. You know why? Just because there's controversy. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Again, happy birthday to Melissa from Bay City.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Could you use a little extra money right now? If you'd like to borrow up to $100,000 and get pre-approved in minutes, call the number we'll give you at the end of this commercial. Our lending partners have already loaned millions of dollars to individuals just like you, and we're ready to lend you up to $100,000 if you qualify. Even if your credit is not perfect, you could use the money to pay off high-interest credit cards, for home renovations, or consolidate existing debt. You can get flexible, easy-to-pay terms. The consultation to find out if you qualify is free. To find out if you qualify for our special financing program, call this toll-free number 24 hours a day. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. 800-335-1376. That's 800-335-1376. Important terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Loan amount, annual percentage rate, and term will vary depending on creditworthiness. Applying does not guarantee approval. Account approval is subject to verification and confirmation of your credit history and acceptance by a lender. If you choose to apply for a loan through us, a consumer report will be obtained to evaluate your creditworthiness in connection with your application for credit.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 702-799-9935. That's 702-799-9935. 702-799-9935. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. Thanks, Roy Firestone, for sending it back to me. Oh, folks, listen, it's live. Anything could happen. We don't fix nothing in the mix. We just leave it out there because you know what? It's more fun that way. All right, a big welcome in to everybody listening in again on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast, including our friends over in Honolulu on the New York Yankees radio network. That's CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. Also, that's the home of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome in to everybody that may be joining us in sunny Southern California, as well as the Bay Area, all the way up to Seattle on all of our affiliates. Some are NBC, some are independent, some are who the heck knows what they are. But guess what? We're all over the place on the West Coast, as well as right here in Las Vegas. Can't miss us over here, as well as down in Texas. And you can catch us on various stations over there, as well as all the way over to WAUD, who we mentioned previously in the last segment. That's 12:30 a.m. over on the, well, actually, that covers from Auburn, Alabama, all the way over to the west of Montgomery, all the way to the east to Columbus, Georgia, and a whole bunch of points in between. That's the Atlanta Braves Radio Network. Of course, we always give them a big round of applause because we can. WDJY in Atlanta, 99.1 FM. Thanks for waking up with us over there. WBGY in Southwest Florida. That's over in Marco Island and Naples, that beautiful yachting community, and many, many other points from Washington, D.C. to Boston and Chicago and Detroit. Even our friends up in Bay City can listen. Oh, yeah, we're everywhere, folks. Anyway, welcome in to everybody watching on cable television on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and WOW Cable TV, as well as Hotel TV. And everybody streaming on Facebook, Instagram, and X, or Twitter, call it what you will. Also, you can catch us on YouTube. Folks, seriously, the only place I think can't get us, maybe would be the Mars rover. I don't really know. But you know what I don't really get here? I'm going to jump right into this. And this is the NBA. This is an issue. It's an ongoing issue. And you know what, folks? This brings me back to an episode that I did a few years back with Tim Donaghy. Now, in case you don't remember Tim Donaghy, he was the referee that was fixing games. And he went to prison for 13 months for fixing NBA basketball games. In fact, if you go back and listen to that episode, well, he revealed a little bit more about that whole scenario that people really knew. So there were more people allegedly involved in that, potentially from Tim Donaghy's testament of it, possibly from the NBA. Pretty interesting. So we think about that. We think about the gambling that goes in. Now, of course, all these games, they're touted by pick your favorite fantasy organization or from pick your favorite casino. Everyone's making a buck on this. This is crazy. And so you wonder, how many of these games have been compromised? I think, personally, they have been compromised. I talk about this damn near every show. And in fact, I even have a little tout service called PlaceYourBet.Vegas. Check out PlaceYourBet.Vegas. You want to learn how to get some information for picking the right games. And it's all predicated on money movement. PlaceYourBet.Vegas. A shameless plug, of course, for Sal the Bookmaker. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because the Blazers, in a recent game, they're actually protesting a game versus the Oak City Thunder after, wait, the refs missed a timeout call and then ejected Chauncey Billups. They teed him up. They gave him a double tee. What a disaster. I mean, look. So the article reads, by pick your favorite outlet. It doesn't really matter. This one exactly came from Yahoo. So they say the Portland Trail Blazers would like to have a word with the NBA after one of the most bizarre endings of the season. And of course, the Blazers plan to file a protest with the league over their 111-109 loss to the Oak City Thunder. That was according to the Four Letter Network, specifically due to a sequence that saw head coach Chauncey Billups receive 2 technical fouls after unsuccessfully trying to call a timeout? What? The play in question occurred with less than 20 seconds left in the game, or in the fourth anyway, because you never know these days. The Blazers had the ball while leading by 109-108, but saw guard Malcolm Brogdon get trapped near half court. Billups, standing nearby at half court, attempted to call timeout to bail out his veteran, but the official, Brandon Schwab, apparently didn't see him until after Brogdon attempted to dribble out of the trap. You know what this reminds me of is the Detroit Lions with their lineman that reported as an eligible receiver caught a 2-point conversion against the Dallas Cowboys, but apparently, in some magical way, the referee did not see number 68 report in as an eligible receiver. They only saw number 70, but there were 2 giant linemen that reported. And so, of course, Detroit ended up losing the game on a failed second attempt of a 2-point conversion. So here's this Michigan tie. So here you've got the Detroit Lions. And you have Chauncey Billups, who used to play for the Detroit Pistons. Of course, all this with our birthday girl in mind, Melissa from Bay City. Of course, a nice shameless plug for her. Why are we doing it? Because we can. But anyway, we have this ongoing issue. And it's like, what is happening here? Are we getting fixed games left, right, and center? I don't know. But Chauncey Billups, standing at half court, remember, he tried to call timeout 2 times. And Schwab called Brogdon for the double dribble while he tried to dribble out of it, turning the ball over to Oak City. And then it got worse for the Blazers. So Billups was really, really bent out of shape. Frankly, I don't blame him either. And he made contact inadvertently with Schwab as he called the double dribble and received a technical foul. Then another technical foul as he continued to plead his case, resulting in an automatic ejection. And Brogdon, too, appeared furious he didn't get the timeout. So, courtesy of Bally's Sports, Oklahoma, we do have a soundbite here. We want to make sure we give them credit. Listen to this call for 53 seconds from the game from the announcing crew.
They want a foul. Brogdon has some timeouts. He got away with a double dribble or no? Is Billups trying to call timeout? He's right up on Brandon Schwab and he got teed up.
He was actually out on the floor and he's still out on the floor. And that's going to be a double technical. And he's headed to the showers.
Now you've got Scott Brooks out on the floor. Yeah. The Blazers incensed that they didn't get the timeout called.
Well, I don't know why the player didn't call it. Brogdon tried to dribble the basketball, and he had his back to Chauncey Billups, and Chauncey is pretty upset as the coaching staff is grabbing him. But 2 technicals have been called, both on head coach Chauncey Billups.
This is ridiculous, folks. This is the same situation just like the Detroit Lions. And you wonder how much money possibly transacted over a call like that. Or 2 no calls. How about that? The end result was 2 free throws, possession of the ball for the Thunder, and no head coach for the Blazers. And unfortunately, the free throws were split, right? Tying the game at 109-109, retaining possession. After the free throws, the Thunder won the game on a jump shot by Jalen Williams on top of that. What an abomination. This is disgusting. I mean, look, there have been more graceful losses for the Blazers, who their record fell to 12-31 in their rebuilding year. So be it. But this is not about a team with a bad record. This is about a lack of fairness in the NBA, and I would argue in professional sports. It seems like they're all scripted. Look, each side attempted to argue their case after the game. And in fact, Chauncey Billups said, and this was courtesy of The Athletic, quote, It was just a tough situation. We got timeouts. Referees usually are prepared for that, you know? That instance, that situation. I'm at half court trying to call a timeout. It's just frustrating play. My guys play too hard for that, close quote. And Brogdon says, quote, Chauncey, the whole staff was calling timeout. I turned literally to the ref on the sideline. Clearly the ref didn't want us to have a timeout, so we couldn't get one. I got scratched in the face. I'm bleeding at the end. This one's not on us, close quote. In fact, and here's what the crew chief, Bill Kennedy, had to say in an interview with a particular reporter. And so the question was, Chauncey said after the game that he tried to call timeout. Why was he not granted a timeout? And Kennedy said the referee in the slot position was refereeing the double team that was right in front of him, which makes it difficult for number one to hear and number two to see a coach request a timeout behind him. He is taught to referee the play until completion, which a double dribble happened, and correctly called the double dribble, and then pursuant to that, the technical foul came forward. All right. You could say that, but at the end of the day, what happened? That's right, we have another referee out there. Anyway, the odds of the Blazers having their protest granted are slim of zero. Only 6 protests have ever been granted in NBA history, and the only one to be granted in the last 40 years was because the officials had miscounted Shaquille O'Neal's fouls. Oh, yeah. So in this case, a protest is symbolic, and it's a gesture at best, allegedly. The more likely outcome is Billups receiving an automatic fine for criticizing the officials in the first place. Unbelievably ridiculous, and a double boo for that. It's unbelievable. How do they live with themselves? In my opinion, I think a wire transfer may have occurred. Somebody got paid off. And that's how I see it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. And yes, more chaotic basketball. Don't go anywhere. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it out here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus TheSportsCircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more.
800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. 800-957-6209. That's 800-957-6209.
The old way of living with diabetes is a pain. You've got to remember to do your testing and always need to stick your fingers to test your blood sugar. The new way to live your life with diabetes is with a continuous glucose monitor. Apply a discrete sensor on your body, and it continuously monitors your glucose levels, helping you spend more time in range and freeing you from painful finger sticks. If you are living with type 1 or type 2 diabetes and you use insulin or have had hypoglycemic events, you might be eligible for a CGM through your insurance benefits. U.S. Med partners with over 500 private insurance companies and Medicare. We offer free shipping, 90-day supplies, and we bill your insurance. Call us today for a free benefits check.
800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. 800-659-7805. That's 800-659-7805.
That's ridiculous.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, that stands for All Ages Media Programming Television. Check them out at AAMP.TV if you're looking to produce maybe your own podcast or your own radio or television show. AMP TV does full production and distribution for you, your shows, and all other shows as well that are interested. Check them out at AAMP.TV or email for more information at info@AAMP.TV. That's info@AAMP.TV. Yes! All right, a big welcome back to everybody on television, radio, streaming. You know who you are. And by the way, folks, make sure to check out the SportsCircus.com's partner page. Now, AMP TV is over there as well, but also the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at CSNCoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's CSNCoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. All right, back to the NBA. So in the last segment, it was Chauncey Billups getting teed up a couple of times, getting thrown out of a game, and the Blazers protesting a game against the Oak City Thunder, because apparently the referee didn't see or hear the timeout request. Mind you, by the entire bench, if I'm not mistaken, something to that effect. So, NBA's missing calls. I wonder why that happens. Maybe there's money involved. I don't know. It could be a little favoritism. Doubtful. It seems to be a money play. Just ask Tim Donaghy about that, as he had been previously. And of course, he's served his debt to society for fixing basketball games in the National Basketball Association. So here we go with these refs missing calls. How about this one? In the NBA, this is just another new one. A ref, or the refs, missed, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 calls. Yes, 10 calls in the last 2 minutes as the Timberwolves blew Karl Anthony Towns' 62-point game versus the Hornets. And why would that possibly be?
Show me the money!
I don't know, folks, but how do you miss 10 calls in 2 minutes, in the last 2 minutes? Maybe that, I don't know, it could determine the outcome of a game, possibly. And so here, another wonderful article here that talks just a little bit about it here. Karl Anthony Towns was heated when officials didn't call a foul on his late go-ahead bucket attempt in their last game, 128-125 loss to the Charlotte Hornets. Now, it turns out that he was fouled not once, but twice. And that's according to the NBA, which concluded that the officials missed a whopping 10 calls in the final 2 minutes of the game between the Hornets and the Wolves. Now, wait a minute. Chauncey Billups just got teed up and thrown out for this no timeout thing. And it would appear that there's not going to be any discipline for the referee. Now, what about this one? Now, the NBA, mind you, the NBA said, they concluded nonetheless that the officials actually missed the 10 calls. Not 1, not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They missed 10 calls. 10 calls. Crazy. It's even making my voice twitch. It's unbelievable. Now, the Hornets rallied conveniently from a 15-point fourth quarter deficit. Yeah, what about that live betting stuff? We'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, they come back from this 15-point improbable fourth quarter deficit to spoil a would-be marquee night for Karl Anthony Towns, who matched his career high and tied his own Timberwolves franchise record with 62 big points. He had a chance to break the record and take the lead for Minnesota in the final 5 seconds of the game. Well, it happens that way. Now, the 7-footer posted up 6'1" Terry Rozier after the free throw line, above the free throw line, with the Hornets leading by 126-125, and the game clock ticking below 7 seconds. He spun and attacked the basket, only to lose control of the ball in a crowd of Hornet defenders. And of course, this is according to, or better yet, this is courtesy of Bleacher Report. Let's see if we can get this bit to work here. Here's just a little clip for you to listen into.
It's going to be Towns. Lost it! Leakey's got it! And a foul! With 1.7 remaining!
You get the switch right there, but Towns tries to go quickly. Look at the traffic he draws.
Towns is going crazy.
He puts the ball on the floor. You know he's not going to give it up. He's got 62. He wants 64. You converge on the ball, get the turnover, and force a foul.
So Leaky Black's at the free throw line.
This is crazy. If you watch this, folks, like I just played it here, you couldn't see it. Some of you couldn't see it, but everybody on TV could watch it. If you saw this, by the way, again, courtesy of the Bleacher Report, if you saw this, I mean, the guy got mugged. He got mugged under the bucket. 2 guys hammered him. And yet, 10 blown calls in the last 2 minutes were recognized by the NBA. I mean, if there ever was a protest that may have a shot, like they said they had in the last segment, the last one that was a victory in the protest world was when Shaq didn't get the right amount of free throws or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, 10 calls acknowledged by the NBA. There has to be something, some retribution here. This is wrong. I mean, look, Karl Anthony Towns pleaded for a whistle that didn't come. The Hornets went on to ice the game with a pair of free throws, of course, at the other end. This is crazy. I mean, per the NBA's last 2-minute report that was recently released, Towns was fouled on the gather by Rozier and again on the shot by Leaky Black, who the league concluded illegally swiped Towns on the arm of his drive to the bucket in the first place. This is crazy. Unbelievable. Now, those two were among 10 calls that the NBA determined officials missed in the final 157 of the game. 6 of those missed calls favored the Hornets, including the 2 on the pivotal late drive by Towns. And the NBA also determined that the officials missed 2 travels and 2 personal fouls that weren't called on Charlotte as well. That's ridiculous. Think about this, folks. 10 calls. And very much seem to just take it in stride. Interesting. Other missed calls included assigning a called personal foul to the wrong Hornet player and 3 incorrect non-calls on fouls committed by the Timberwolves. None of this is to excuse Minnesota's collapse in a performance, but then again, you could say it was to excuse or not excuse. The fact is they missed 10 calls. Look, the real story here isn't the win and loss. The real story is the 10 missed calls in the last minute 57 of the game at a critical time. And this is not in the middle of the game. No. This is when the outcome of the game is going to be affected. And the Hornets had already erased their 15-point deficit and turned out and, well, they got themselves a W. So look, they turned it into a 126-121 advantage by the time those mismanaged last 2 minutes started to tick down. And the Timberwolves already had blown what should have been a celebratory night for Karl Anthony Towns, but by devolving it into a misguided chase for individual glory. And the Timberwolves lost the game. The officials didn't lose it for them, according to the article. But yet they say also true, the officials have got to do a better job. Look, it's easy to say the officials have to do a better job. But where's the discipline? It's obvious. It's painstakingly obvious that these calls gave the Hornets a 5-point advantage late in the game. Why is that? Oh, I know. Maybe because of the point spread and or the in-game betting. So you could say whatever you want about, well, gambling is fair and it's okay that these games aren't compromised, when all the evidence points that, yes, the games are compromised. And I don't care if the NBA gets mad at me, Adam Silver. Hey, I'm a fellow Duke guy as well. But listen, buddy, my league, the Sports Circus League, whatever that means, is not in question here. It's all coming under your rule, Adam Silver, who absolutely endorsed all the sports betting in the first place. David Stern would never have allowed this. Adam Silver, on the other hand, in my opinion, they say in politics, well, the blood is on your hands. Well, I would say the stain of greenbacks would appear to be on the commissioner's hands here, because how does this stuff all happen conveniently under the rule of Adam Silver, but yet you didn't see that under other commissioners? They say, well, gambling wasn't legal back then. Well, listen, it was legal at the casinos, but now everybody's in on it. And frankly, it's an abomination to professional sports. They should be ashamed of themselves, whether it's the players, whether it's the referees. It sure seems to me that right here in Las Vegas, those casino lights are burning really bright. Why? Because maybe they're getting extra money in from these professional sports leagues. I don't know. But it's remarkably embarrassing. And this is one of the reasons I really don't spend a lot of time watching the NBA. It's because of garbage like this. It turns me off to it. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Yes, chaos and controversy ahead. Don't go anywhere.
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark, friends. High pop fly. That would be a home run in a phone booth. I don't know what the big deal about Cracker Jack is. Did you ever go and buy a pack of Cracker Jack thinking you're going to get a prize and find no prize in the box? Here's the pitch. That might not sound important to some people, but when you're a little kid, especially from humble origin, and they cheat you out of a prize, there's a bouncing ball. Second baseman has a Marbury over to first. It's hard to think in laudatory terms of the product.
I take it there was an occasional box of Cracker Jacks that found no prizes for the little Harry Carey many years ago.
You got that right. And boy, when a box of Cracker Jack to me meant a lot of money. Here's a pitch, bounce foul. That's the most asinine marketing I've ever heard of. 1 ball, 1 strike. These guys say, well, you sing about Cracker Jack. I said that I only sing it because it's in the song. Here's a pitch foul back. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised, even to this day, some youngsters who buy a box of Cracker Jack don't find a prize in the box. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Well, if you're going to talk about a congressman being crooked, here's a pitch foul out of play. Why not talk about commercial products who don't do what they represent to do?
There's a smash to Squires. He's got it. 1, 2, 3, nothing across. We're going to the bottom of the 7th now to score. All tied up. Milwaukee 4, the White Sox 4. Hey! Everybody! All right, Nancy, let me hear you. To the ball game. Take me out to the ground. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back for its root for the White Sox. If they don't win, it's a shame.
cow. This crowd is wild.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus with Bones from L's Italian Beef. We're talking to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, make sure you check out TheSportsCircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, our recorded shows, which are podcasts. They can be found on all podcast platforms. Also, make sure you check out the partners page as well. Lots of great partners over there, from CSN Athletics to Al's #1 Italian Beef in Chicago's Little Italy to Cali Vegas and Legal Shield and all kinds of other organizations. Anyway, also, check out that Chicago Food Favorites page on Facebook. It's actually just a group of fun conversation about good food and people enjoying good food and whatnot. There's no fees or whatever. There's no subscription fees. Just join it. It's fun. Post your pictures. Tell your stories of good food, whether you like the food at this location or that location. Talk about food. Post your recipes in the file section. We don't get anything for saying this. It's just something we like to do. In fact, I am the administrator of the group itself. How do you like them apples? Yes. And you can interact with me on there as well. All right. Welcome back to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. All of our independents from coast to coast as well. Plus Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and WOW Cable affiliates in select cities, as well as Hotel TV in over 500,000 rooms in all Nielsen-rated markets across America. Everybody streaming. Thanks for joining us again. Okay. So we've been talking about betting and bad calls and this kind of thing. So we're going to leave the NBA because we've already left them to deal with themselves at this point. How about this one? How about the NFL? Let's go to the NFL, where there's certainly no shortage of controversy, which we had mentioned in the last segment about the Detroit Lions getting burnt on their two-point conversion call against the Dallas Cowboys. Conveniently, that happened. Of course, the referee did not see, apparently, allegedly, they did not see the number 68 reporting onto the field. And, of course, that always deserves an astounding round of boos or two. Well, listen, folks. We think about these terrible calls, and then we say, who makes the calls? Well, it's the officials that make the calls. Well, guess what? Just in case you were wondering who is going to referee Super Bowl 58, yes, it will be the crew of none other than Bill Vinovich. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it should sound familiar. This is the same official with the infamous blown call in that Rams and Saints, this is according to The Athletic, will lead the officiating crew for Super Bowl 58, and the league announced just moments ago. And this will be the third time that Vinovich will be the referee for a Super Bowl. And of course, officiating has been a hot button topic for many seasons, with this year being no exception. This includes, as I just mentioned, the Detroit Lions officiating gripes concerning the eligible receiver controversy just a couple of weeks ago involving Taylor Decker in a loss to the Cowboys. But now The Athletic continues by saying NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell recently lauded the league's officiating in Detroit during an appearance to promote the 2024 NFL Draft. Goodell said, quote, "They are the hardest working people I see. They take great pride in it. There are individuals who work to try to make sure that they're contributing to the game. But we have technology to try to do that too. And I'm very proud of what they do," close quote. Really? And again, when I was referring to the controversy, Vinovich was the referee for one of the most controversial officiating decisions in sports history 5 years ago. And matter of fact, the league admitted that the Rams cornerback, Roby Coleman should have been flagged for defensive pass interference and a helmet-to-helmet penalty on Saints wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis toward the end of regulation during the 2018 NFC Championship game. Instead, the lack of flag became known as the NOLA, no call, and the call would have likely clinched the Saints' second ever Super Bowl berth. Instead, the Rams won the game in overtime conveniently. I wonder why that is.
Show me the money!
Maybe that's the case. But of course, the grouping of officials changed for the Super Bowl as the league uses an all-star crew. If that's the case, how the hell is Vinovich involved in this? So they say, well, rather than, of course, the cohesive group guided by Vinovich during the season. So here's a glimpse of who's joining Vinovich and the crew right here. We're in the gambling capital of the world, Las Vegas. And in case you're wondering, will there be any money involved in this?
Show me the money!
Very well likely so, Magic 8 Ball says. So here's a glimpse of who's joining him for the Super Bowl. Umpire is Terry Killens. Downs judge is Patrick Holt. The line judge is Mark Perlman. The field judge is Tom Hill. The side judge is Alan Baines. The back judge is Brad Freeman. And the replay official, one of my favorites, is Mike Chase. Okay, why are we looking at this? Well, the umpire is going to make the call. The downs judge is going to watch what's going on down by down. The line judge, that's when, let me give you an example. A couple of seasons ago, we saw in a Super Bowl, we saw Aaron Donald line up in the neutral zone on 4th and 2 in the Super Bowl within the last 2 minutes of the game. And of course, if that line judge would have called Aaron Donald lining up in the neutral zone, that would have been a 5-yard penalty, and the Cincinnati Bengals would have got a first down and likely ended up scoring, putting them in the winner's circle for that Super Bowl. But conveniently, the home team, the LA Rams, somehow magically got that Super Bowl. Now, the field judge, of course, being like a field general is one thing. The side judge is going to call on all those calls that are maybe in the secondary, not in the secondary, maybe in the second level, right? Going to check everything on the side, just like that line judge, right? Now, the back judge is going to be able to call those pass interference calls in the secondary. They're going to be able to call all those against the free safeties, the safeties, and the corners. Maybe you'll see defensive holding down the line or something like that. You'll see pass interference or a lack thereof, and also helmet-to-helmet calls. And, of course, the replay official, that's one of my favorites because they could, well, sorry, there's no conclusive evidence for this and blah, blah, blah. And they're going to say, well, hey, let's have a let-them-play mentality, according to The Athletic. Now, Vinovich is popular among NFL teams because his crews are known to adopt the let-them-play mentality and throw fewer flags. Really? I guess we've already seen that movie, haven't we, 5 years ago? And of course, with an all-star crew, that reputation isn't as meaningful, though, because Vinovich will be working with different officials than he normally does. And he is not the only one who throws flags. This will be his third Super Bowl assignment. Now, umpires Terry Killens played in Super Bowl 34 as a linebacker for the Titans. Now, that's kind of a strange thing because you typically don't see players turn into umpires or referees or anything of the sorts. He is the only person to participate in a Super Bowl as an NFL player and an NFL official. Line judge Mark Perlman and field judge Tom Hill are both retiring after this season, have both worked multiple Super Bowls. Okay, now if they're going to retire, let's play along here, folks. If they're going to retire, that would imply that they can make certain calls or turn a blind eye and not necessarily be disciplined because this is the last game of their careers. So what that means is maybe there might be a little bit of
Show me the money!
Involved in here. What do you think about that, folks? Now, I don't think that's so far-fetched. What do you think? Because if this is their last game, really, what is the harm in making a call in favor of the money? I don't really see a harm because no one's going to get disciplined for it anyway. Nobody seems to have any disciplinary action against them for making these horrific calls. And look at the NBA in the last segment.
Show me the money!
They said in 2 cases, hey, look, there was a problem. Well, actually, they said for the 10 non-calls in the last minute 57, there's no discipline there. So what's going to happen in the NFL when this is their last game? So you got two guys that potentially can be compromised. I'm not saying they're going to be. It's my opinion. But it sure seems to stand to reason that they are, well, let's put it this way. They could be compromised, I guess, if all the stars aligned. I'm not saying they would ever do such a thing, right? We don't want to do that. We don't want to say that.
Show me the money!
But it sure stands to reason that the possibility is there.
That's the fact, Jack!
And especially with Vinovich being in charge here, which we know he's got a spotted track record for such things, what does that tell you? I don't know. I mean, what does it tell me? It tells me that there could be a little bit of monkey business in here. I mean, look, they say how the officials are selected. Well, the Super Bowl officials are picked from a pool of 28 on-field officials who worked with in the divisional round. And they must have 5 years experience and postseason experience of either one conference champion game or 3 playoff qualifying seasons in the past 5 years. And to qualify for a playoff assignment, an official must be in at least their second season. And if they are a referee, they must be in their second season as a referee. Officials are evaluated on an individual basis throughout the season, and those evaluations determine which officials qualify for a postseason assignment. Well, I wonder how that one works. I mean, look, there are a million comments on this, and so some people are saying, Joey B says, so they want to ensure a Kansas City win. He helped them win the game in the divisional. Bobby T says, I hate the All-Star Crew idea for the Super Bowl. Maybe put the Avengers together for the playoffs and then pick one of those squads and they'll have time to gel together. Another guy says, disgusted that Vinovich is still allowed to ref games at all. James C., you get the prize for that one. I got to tell you, folks, I'm appalled at the idea that they're actually going to let somebody who certainly cleared the way for the Rams to win against the Saints be a referee in the Super Bowl. Got to tell you, folks, not liking it, and I just think that some monkey business likely will happen. But remember, what are the colors for the Super Bowl? The logo, they are purple, conveniently, that match the Baltimore Ravens, and that reddish color, which, of course, matches the opposing league or the San Francisco 49ers, because the Detroit Lions had that blue and silver. We'll just see what Jared Goff has in his bag, because he has beaten the 49ers before in San Francisco as a Ram player, so it's a playoff homecoming for him. That's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, and we'll see you in about 23 hours on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196. Paid for by Legal Alert Line.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-296-1209. 800-296-1209. That's 800-296-1209.